Hey everybody, it's your best friend Drew Geraci, longtime fanboy, still am, and now I'm a comic book professional about going on, 30 years or so. So, if I run out of breath, you'll know why. Anyway, that was probably pretty annoying, I apologize. Got some fun books at Dave's Comics in Fayetteville, Georgia. He amazes me. I can go there like once a week as I do, and I will find stuff I've never seen before. He gets stock, he rotates it, he has extra stock that he hasn't sifted through from many collections that have been purchased. And what's cool is you'll find stuff that I could see if you have like a collection of regular books from this era, maybe not far back as 66, who knows. But when you get a stack of books, it'll be like, well, okay, that's a $2 book. This is going into the $5 pile. This is going into $10. This is going into 2 to 5, and you go on from that. And just make snap decisions. And sometimes there's a nice surprise like this. I got that for $2, and it's 1966, which is, good God, it's 60 years ago already. Ooh. So let's get enough with the modeling stuff. Let's get to beautiful, beautiful Unknown Worlds of Frank Brunner. Eclipse Comics was a fantastic publisher, and the only reason they closed is because their computer systems and they either had a flood or something very damaging happened to where they lost all these files. We're talking like the late 80s where you didn't send JPEGs, not everybody was scanning stuff, so art was, still had it ship stuff pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, the fax machines weren't even a big deal at the time. So, anyway, beautiful cover. And what I like about Eclipse is they had such a huge variety of books, and they would have superheroes also, but they would do that to kind of supplement some of the odd projects. Like, I don't know if everybody would know who Frank Brunner is, other than it might be your first time and you're seeing something as amazing as that. But he did the first couple issues of Howard the Duck, who was designed by Val Mayerick. But he also did the legendary Doctor Strange run with Steve Englehart. So these were unpublished and written stories. And Eclipse also did a collection of Bernie Wrightson books called Master of the Macabre. So this is 2 issues long, and it's really a treat. It's such a treat. This says Brunner, 1970. So this is I don't think he made it big until, I think, in 72, late 72, he did some backup stories. In fact, I know he did for Marvel's, the reprint monster books that I'm always showing off, the Weird Wonder Tales, the Journey into Mystery relaunch, all this other stuff. And gradually he got, to doing Doctor Strange. But tell me, that's such a Bernie Wrightson thing. And the thing is, Bernie Wrightson was kind of coming into his own. They're both drawn from the same elements that they're interested in. I mean, a bit of Wally Wood, a little Frazetta, of course, like early Frazetta. So he's got all the great influences. His inking's kind of interesting because he doesn't do like a solid line. And thankfully, when they reprint this, the colors all fit. Because sometimes you can't count on the colors making something work that doesn't have a holding line. A holding line back then was a black line, and you didn't do a lot of drop-offs. And drop-offs are when there's like one side of a face you can't see because it's in the light. And sort of like that guy there. I'll show you more later. But this is Frank Brunner, and he also got influenced by Neil Adams. And I think he actually worked in the studio with Neil Adams when they did Doctor Strange. Dick Giordano inked those magnificent issues, and some of the other, even Neil Adams would pitch in just to have fun. So a little bit of that's odd, kind of a chalk. What do you call China marker or everything? But that don't matter. He's just experimenting, spreading his wings. But this is beautiful stuff. I mean, kind of a hint to how he's going to do that caterpillar in Doctor Strange. I love seeing the evolution. Now we get new prime Frank Brunner, at least 5 years later, same time as Doctor Strange. I guess I should say newer. So you see a lot of Neil Adams. You see a lot of Bernie Wrightson just coming through more and more. It's just spectacular stuff. Yes, I covered her up. I know. I don't want any copyright strike. Or just anybody being offended. You know, barbarian stories, you always have to have a half-naked gal. It's like the law or something. And it's pretty cool. These are interesting. I love the colors of it and all that. The Scorpio one, I'm not that keen on it because it's just too much like out of a magazine. Maybe the guy did get somebody to pose for it, but it's a little too Greg Land for me. Or later Greg Land. So here we go with the Wrightson stuff. Wrightson-esque stuff. Okay, oh, I can do this too, I guess. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's somebody else. Ledger. That's another book. And again, they would do these books they came out with trading cards that were really wild. They came out with one that was like the SNL scandal crisis trading cards, and it would have all the people involved with it. It was a banking scandal in the 80s. And then just other ones that would sell like crazy, and then they'd offset it by these books that probably wouldn't perform very well, but you know, Eclipse was dedicated to history. I admit to the frog. Ain't that great? Okay, this came out a little bit. Yeah, this is about 86 or so, because the book was on Baxter paper at $1.50, and they moved it down to 75 cents, but it was too late for me. I had read the first couple issues, and they lost me already. And it's a price. I'm sorry, but you know, when you move out, you know, you have to kind of move away from home. You have to start thinking what you're going to buy. You know, it's got to last you all month. You know, I could buy like 5 comics, and I would read them over and over each month. I remember when Watchmen came out. That was satisfying to reread like 5 times. So this crazy ass book, Scary Tales, which looks nothing like a scary tale. It's a one-shot, and it's so inexplicable. There's so little on the creator artist, Johan Rue. And the only thing I could come up with was like a rugby player from Australia, I think. And that's the only reference to him. And it's so weird that they stuck it on Scary Tales. It's almost a throwback to when you'd have Tales of Suspense, and you would have Captain America and Iron Man doing clearly superhero stuff, not, you know, shock and suspense type stuff. So the art is so trippy, and the lettering is bizarre. It's all done in one, except for the colors by Fiore. I know another. Okay, here we go. 1983. It's one of the last original stories that Charlton published. They were already going like more than half of their line was reprint, and some really interesting experimentation here. That is so trippy. That's so weird, but I love it. Although I have to confess, I have to be under like a bright light to read those tiny letters. And it's very professional. It's just not frightfully exciting, but I just love seeing stuff out in the wilderness like this. That's you. Okay. So the guy's dedicated to storytelling. He's not, you know, copping out. It's not fantastic as far as like that's nicely ambitious for a relative newbie or a done-in-one type, you know, creation. You know, anatomy's kind of wonky, but whose isn't when they start out? Yeah. Some of it actually reminds me of Fletcher Hanks, of all things, the guy who created Stardust, the wizard. Oh man, this is why we came here. Price of admission. Okay, release the Devil's Organist. It's like you took John Papa from Blues Traveler and had him get in the way of gamma radiation during an explosion, and he turns it to this. So, oh man, I love that character. That's the one that made me like, I was thumbing through it and I was like, that I gotta have it. So Yeah, but I could, this kind of stuff I could see like in the '80s, like black and white indie artists doing the same thing, learning the trade. You know, I mean, it's easy to sort of do photo stats and just change a figure and all that. But if you're gonna give yourself a deadline, if you're serious about self-publishing something, that's what sometimes you got to make those. And you see it. You saw a lot in professionals doing it too. So that's about it. But anyway, oh, Witch Hunt. That is who did this? I think it's. Hang on there. I think it's a one-pager. But anyway, it looks kind of ploogy. Not really. It's a reprint. So we go on to Dusty Star, which is done by Joe Pruitt, who was I believe, a co-publisher with somebody else on the company, Caliber Press, and then they graduated to Image that reprint. The only 2 books that were done, and it kills me because I've seen the pages to issue 3, but the fact of the matter is, you do it for free. I mean, that's how Image is. It's like you usually have to have a couple issues in the can, and then they will publish it and they will come up with some kind of, if it sells, then it merits a payment. It's like getting a free press. I'm not 100% sure of this, okay? I may be talking right out of my ass, which I'm genuinely really good at that. I'm talking like Olympic level. But Andrew Robinson, the artist, he won an Eisner Award for working on the 5th Beatle graphic novel. He painted it, and it's about Brian Epstein. It's so good. And it made like the New York Times bestseller list and everything. So that's his design. And Joe Pruitt, I think he and somebody else just started a new publishing venture that was very promising. So, and thank God it's in black and white, because he does so much in there. Look at that, so much life. It's very Jamie Hewlett. You know, he's not hiding his influences. He's really at the Tank Girl and anything else. And Hewlett's another guy he's really underrated, because he kind of started this kind of style, like this really exaggerated style that you would have Andrew and many others fall. And Howard Porter, who I used to ink on JLA, he had done some recent stuff. Actually, the last 10-15 years, he's been doing amazing stuff like this. I mean, totally rethinking storytelling, making it dynamic, even if it's an ordeal or a situation that you've seen a million times. Colleen Duran, one of the indie comics, how can I put it? Just a warrior, you know. She's gone through a lot of years with this book, and it's just amazing. A lot of people don't. I'm talking decades here, and it's all in her control. She never had to sell out, and neither did these guys. Pruitt Robertson. I think that's loosely based on Dave Johnson, who I started off assisting when I was breaking into the industry. But yeah, I was at for about 2 years. I was with Tony Harris, Ray Snyder, Jim Royal, and Andrew Robinson came along down in Macon. We had an art studio, and it was so cool. But it didn't last long, because you got 5 distinct personalities, you know. It's beautiful, but it doesn't mean I don't like the work. You know, I admire all of those guys. Great stance. I recommend you get the 5th Beatle. It's really, really amazing. Now, this is a Phil Hester piece done a little before he did Green Arrow. Boy, that's sweet there too. David Bowler, don't know. He's also from Caliber Comics. And now we're going to get from the sublime to the also ridiculous. Jack Q. Frost, coolest hero in comics. You know, actually, I think I splurged and spent $5 on this instead of $2. That's outrageous, I know, but it came out in 1966. But look, the spine's in pretty good shape for that. For a 60-year-old comic, and it's whatever the stock they used on the cover. I don't know. It's strong. It holds it together. So we're seeing Jack Q. Frost Harvey wanted to get into the superhero business after the Batman TV show. Everybody did. So, excuse me. This is what we got. And there were other issues with different characters. There was one that has this, I can't quite describe. I'll do it another. So they changed character. Like they only did 2 issues in a row. Jack Hugh Frost and somebody else. So the world's laziest villain. Okay, that opening looks like it's got Tuska there, and the rest is just because Tuska was doing some work for them. Crazy stuff. I don't know about that. I think that's George Tuska, inked by somebody different. I'll have to look it up. I actually don't remember. Shame on me. Shame on me for not researching it. This looks very Carmen Infantino, so maybe a little of all these influences. Like I said, I should have researched it. I forgot. Yes, gives himself all hosed down, and he gets his cooling strength back. Just a wacky character. I love the line work on that figure. The scratchy up and down. It's indicating that he's like an icicle, sort of. I love that effect. Here comes the laziest villain. We get to Piranha, deadliest creature in the world. Fred Hembeck made a joke about this a long time ago. He had grown up in the Silver Age, and he was just laughing at how this was called the deadliest man in all the world. So, Claw Fang introduction. Okay, here we go now. This is something that we go into Wally Wood territory. There's that double lighting. And right there, you know, we've seen that pose before. And the way he frames that panel with the foreground figures and the foliage is just breathtaking. And I love the colors. I love flat colors for foreground characters and items. So yeah, you could tell how Wood draws and how he inks. So it's got some real treats in there too. Oh, that's a beauty. Then we get Tiger Boy. That's the one I was talking about, who was in the other issue, by Gil Kane, who was doing, he was still doing Green Lantern at the time, and then I think he also did 1 or 2 issues of Plastic Man, which I would love to buy, but they're hundreds and hundreds of dollars each because they're so rare. And then he also took over Hawk and Dove and the Creeper when Steve Ditko left after 2 issues due to a bout of tuberculosis. Ditko almost died twice of tuberculosis. One as a child in Johnstown, PA, not that far from where I grew up. And he started those 2 new series, and then the tuberculosis came back. You know, there's been this rumor that, oh, he was just being, you know, a pisser. He was being, you know, whatever. No, it's like he just had a brush with death that was inconvenient. And we've seen this pose a billion times. There's Wally Wood again. This is the time, I mean, I still love it. It's just that he really was falling back on a handful of the same poses. And then we get into Mike Sekowsky. Cool stuff. So right here, it seems like with Gil Kane, Mike Sekowsky, I think after this brief run here, I think Wally Wood saw everybody in the book and said, hey, you know, I've just been offered to publish my own line of books for Tower Comics, and I'm going to grab these guys. And Sekowsky was famous for work on Justice League of America for years and years since the beginning. So, now here's that. Check that out. Harvey was a huge publisher, and people don't remember because it just seems so bizarre. It's like Casper, Audrey. They're all either characters that are in comic strips or on cartoons, and they were, I would say each issue was like sort of bi-monthly, like half the line would be published one month, the other half would be published the other month, and that's a lot of books, you know. And then they came out a lot, you know, Richie Rich. They came out with even more Richie Riches after a while, and yeah, there you go. There you go. Isn't that something? Super Surplus. These 2 dolts crash into the air. I don't know who did it, but I like it. Earthman with the power to walk on Earth unaided. That's right from, let me see. It's from a cover of Thunder Agents where No Man's jumping down on top of a moving car. So, such a dork. I remember all this stuff. But hey, I have comics. I'm a happy dork. So this is a treasure chest. Even though the cover's deceptive and looks stupid, it is fun in a really goofy way. And then you get all this extra in the back. Okay. World's Finest Baby. Steve Rude had done the first 60 issues of the award-winning Nexus, which lasted 80 issues in its original run, and it's gone over 100 issues since. It was published by First Comics, and it was just fantastic. It lasted 80 issues, but the last 20 had other up-and-coming artists. Steve Rude left to do this because a lot of people, and I can't fault them. Mike Grohl was doing John Sable freelance. He left because you could only make so much with, at the time, with Creator and stuff. You did make money initially, and then later on, as when the books started to get down the road a few years, sometimes people will they'll see, oh, there's this new DC title, there's this new Marvel title, blah blah blah, and so they might change their mind. Even though there were great fill-in artists, Steve Rude did the majority of it, but then there was one time where he had Butch Geist do a fill-in issue, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, like all these top, Rick Veitch, and I don't remember who else, but anyway, he did essentially 60 issues, and then he said in the letters page that he said, well, I'm off, I'll be back, I just need to go make some money now. And I'm sure he got a very good payday from this. This is 1990, I think, and rightfully so. Sometimes you just got to do it. Is that 90? Yep, indeed. So look at close up at that painting. Ah, man, what a treat. And what's really cool is he cracked the code on what made these two characters huge. This was like the early Superman. He's drawn very much like Joe Shuster or Jerry Siegel. I can't remember who the artist is. And that's very much like the early Batman with the short ears. And it's written by Dave Gibbons, he drew Watchmen, but he also did some writing. Steve Rude was inked by Carl Kiesel, who's a superior inker. He's been one of my heroes. Steve Olaf, who I've always loved. First saw his stuff on the Hulk magazine. It came out in like 79 or so. Bill Oakley, he's good too. So it starts off. It's like a wash. I don't know if he used a wash effect over. It might have been that craft tint that you apply, and then you could. Never mind. Let's go here. Wow, this is Gotham City. See how creepy it is? How the architecture is cold and hard. And no words needed just yet. Let me get that. There we go. I hate that sometimes the printing shows. See where a black's filling in right there? I'll show it that way. So it's like this mythic creature just, launching himself. Wow. And this is right after the Batman movie, so there was, much more interest in Batman, and Superman was tagged along. It was like, for DC, it was, what is it? A river that raises all boats or something like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. And that is so, I was going to say Bob Kane, but I don't know if it's Bill Finger. Oh yeah, Bill Finger, because he did that cape. So, Joker. Now what's interesting is, in a recent, DC did a Black Label oversized comic miniseries of Black Label publisher. Let me start over. The Black Label arm of DC Publishing is a format where it's oversized like a magazine, but it has the same amount of pages as a comic. And Mike Perkins, who I knew from CrossGen 100 years ago, really, really great guy, super good guy. He's become like a master of the arts because he did a miniseries, doing a follow-up that was written by Dan Jurgens, where he dedicated himself to going right to the original where he had purple gloves. Batman, not Mike Parkins. And it works. It works. Now here we go. See, Metropolis versus Gotham. And, I mean, Rue just, I mean, he applied himself. Yeah, I mean, he always applies himself. What am I saying? So see, everything's a lot brighter. The background colors are. I love this, where she just got it. Just, and there's a guy playing with his kid and a dog. Got that classic squint going. Oh, and this is also a callback to the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons that were just thrilling. And we have Bruce Wayne meeting Clark Kent. A lot going on, and it's fantastic, all of it. And Lex Luthor and the Joker team up. I think this may have been, I know for sure it's the first time they met since Luthor was changed after Crisis on Infinite Earths from being a super genius who created armored suits to just being a really cutthroat, billionaire businessman with side projects that were less than legal. So this is like the first time the refurbished Luthor meets Joker. That's such a Steve Rudeism. Actually, it's hard to describe what a Steve Rudeism is because he does everything. And also, he keeps Batman quiet. He's like, Joker? I think not, Master Bruce. I took the liberty of including the plastic explosive. Thought it might prove of use. Good. The car's ready, sir. I trust the night goes well. Alfred keeps his words to a minimum because he's going criminal hunting. Luthor. And then later on, we're treated with the fantastic Superman versus Hulk that is drawn by Steve Rude. I think Carl Kiesel wrote it. Maybe, I'm not sure. But beautiful stuff. Oh, so great. And I got this and the next two issues out of the $2 bin. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, if you're, fidgety about, stuff like this, the kind of quality, maybe it's not your thing, but I like it. If it's substantial, I don't care if it's got some, nicks and stuff like that. So anyway, that's it. It's World Finest. I really recommend it. I think it's been collected as well, so you might find it at your local comic shop. I don't know if they ever made a trade paperback. I don't know. And check this out. A lot of fun. And Dusty Star, Andrew Robinson, fantastic. He took over. Also, he did Starman covers when Tony Harris left the Starman book of the '90s, and it was wrapped up by Andrew Robinson covers that were it was so cool to go in every day and see how Andrew was thinking, how he would apply and build a cover. So nice treat. And this guy, who knows? But I love it. It's wild. And Frank Brunner. Okay, everybody, share me your thoughts, please. Tell me anything and everything. Maybe I haven't touched upon something, and maybe say, hey, I didn't know about this. So that's all. I'm running longer on these episodes. I don't know if I should or not. I keep thinking to keep it at 20, but my mouth just keeps going. All right, see ya.